For today's review, we are looking at the Marvel Legends X-Men 97 Jean Grey. Let's dive into it. What accessories are included with this action figure? Well, the first two accessories are these interchangeable hands, and as you can see, these are the gestures that she makes when she's using her powers, so pretty neat to have these. And on the figure, she does have a fist hand, and she also has this other hand gesture that looks like the gesture that she makes when she's reading someone's mind. So really cool to have those options as well. And speaking of options, she does have an alternate head sculpt included. So if you want her to have her hair down like this, you have this option. And the expression on this face is different. She's smiling and she's happy. So pretty cool. And I like the way that this head sculpt is sculpted. So very nice. And I will show what this head sculpt looks like on the body later in the video. As for this head sculpt, I like the way that this one looks as well. I like that she's serious. I like the fact that this ponytail piece is like articulatable, so you can have it down like this. You can have it looking like it's windswept. You got options. So always nice when an action figure includes an additional head sculpt, so you can swap between depending on what you prefer. Now, the one thing that I'm disappointed with this figure is just the fact that she doesn't have any effect parts included. I don't know why Hasbro didn't give her any, because, you know, when you look at Cyclops over here, he had his laser I-beam effect, and just imagine if he didn't come with a laser I-beam effect. That would suck, right? Like, you can't get him into any cool action poses. So if you were to pose this Jean Grey figure on your shelf and you want her to have some effect parts on her hands or something, you know, like she's using her powers, you're going to have to go through your other figures and look for effect parts that are laying around that you're not using. And if they can work on this figure, that would be the only solution. And I honestly think that you shouldn't have to do that. I think, you know, they should have included it with this figure in general. Like, that should have been a standard. But the fact that she has none is the sad part. So, yeah, that's my opinion on that. They need to include effects for characters that have powers. Like, that should be a standard right there. I don't know why she didn't have any. So, kind of bummed out that she didn't come with any. So, all right. Let's talk about aesthetics. What do I think about this figure? Well, let's start with this face sculpt here. I think they did a really good job with that face sculpt. It looks very semi-realistic. It's not as cartoony as Cyclops here. Like, you can see the difference between the two. He looks very cartoony, and then she's like a mix between, like, it looks like it's animation, but it also looks like it's kind of real. So, not too bad. And another interesting thing, this piece right here, even though it moves, you can actually take this off. So technically there's a third hairstyle option that you can go with, where if you don't want the ponytail on her and you want this short hair design look, well, there you go. So this is like a third option now, which is kind of interesting because, you know, I didn't think that, you know, that could be a hairstyle as well, but there have been some depictions of Jean where she has like short hair, I believe. So if you want to have this on display like this, yeah, but you do have to keep in mind that there's a hole on the back of her head, so it's not supposed to be for this purpose, but that's kind of cool that you can do that as well. So there's a third option right there. As for her costume, I think this came out fine with the sculpt work on some areas. Now, the middle area where her torso is, this is all pretty much just very plain. Like, there's no details going on there, except for the fact that it's just painted in, like, blue and orange. So, you know, no texturing. But, like, her belt here, you know, there's, like, sculpting there. These gauntlets that she has on her arms, they're sculpted. And then down here where her pants are, there's a lot of like these grid lines. And one thing I'm going to do is I want these to stand out more, so I'm going to probably use a Gundam marker and panel line all these areas because they just look like they're meant to be panel lines, so they stand out more. They look so plain without any paint in it. So I might do that because that's a really easy thing to do. And in this case, I really like the fact that the die cuts kind of do blend in with this sort of style that they have going on here with the costume. So pretty neat. And there's her feet. Nothing crazy down here in details. Again, very simple details with the costume. There's really not much else going on here. And on the back, it's the same thing, right? But the patterns don't carry to the back, so yeah. All right. In terms of articulation, this figure is not too bad in articulation. But I would have preferred if there was another articulation cut here by the torso, where there's like an upper movement, because this is all one solid piece. So, well, let's start with the head sculpt, okay? Let's start with that. Can she look up? Not exactly. Her neck joint is not the greatest. It doesn't allow her to look up too good. So in this case, if you're trying to get her into like a flight pose, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to lean her back a little bit so it looks like she's looking upward, right? And even if you take this piece off, it's still the same thing. So that's not good. In terms of looking down, yeah, not really looking down at all. Like, again, I don't know why they sculpted the neck like this. It doesn't give her any range of movement at all with looking up or down. As for turning her head side to side, you know, that's not a problem, even with the ponytail, because the ponytail piece is like movable. Yeah, it's not going to get in the way. Now, you know, of course, when you have this head sculpt on, it's a different story. This is going to hinder articulation with the movement because of the fact that this back part of her hair is a solid piece of plastic. So this head sculpt does offer more range of movement, but not the best. Like, they could have carved out a little bit more room or something so she can look down, she can look up, but they did not. So there's that. But, you know, in terms of looking to the side and stuff, you know, that still works. So as for her arm, these pieces up here are not connected to the torso. So if you want to move her arm all the way back and forth, not a problem. That will not affect anything there. As for lifting her arms out, you know, that's good enough. It's not a full T-pose, but, you know, I still think that that's pretty good range of movement there. As for her arms up here, there is a swivel up here. She does have double jointed articulation in the arms, as you can see, pretty good. And then her hands here, they do swivel, and there is a hinge, so not bad. And as for her torso, as I said, it is one entire piece. Everything just moves from the waist like this, and then leaning forward, not really much movement, but if you lean back, there's a good solid amount of movement there. So really weird how she can't, you know, ab crunch forward even with the waist part down here. So that is not good, but in terms of leaning back, you're going to get a good amount of movement there. So yeah, and then also rotation. As for her legs, she does have the die cuts down here. They do move, as you can see. She does kick out. Pretty good kick right there. And she does spread out her legs pretty good, because sometimes some figures can't really spread out their legs that great. So there's that. And she also has double jointed articulation down here with the legs, as you can see with this side. This side is kind of stiff. I need to fix this part. With this side, works fine. And she has, you know, feet articulation and swivel down here. No toe articulation, of course, because it is a Marvel Legend, and they don't offer toe articulation as often. Okay, before I show the other head sculpt, let's get her into some comparisons with some other figures, of course. So I do want to do that first. Let me just put her right here. There we go. All right, let's compare her to, of course, a random figure from Hasbro. We got Fortnite Girl here. You know, these two scale pretty well. They're pretty much the same height and scale, so not too bad. And here she is with Cyclops. Not too bad either. And I think that's accurate in terms of scale when it comes to height between these two characters. There she is with Wolverine. Again, also accurate in scale because Wolverine is short. So, yeah. Here she is with Rogue. Pretty cool. And here she is with Gambit. Gambit is tall. So he's taller than most of the characters in this team. So yeah, there's that. And here is Nightcrawler next to Jean. Not too bad as well. And of course, the last Marvel Legend that I'm going to put her next to in comparison is Deadpool. So yeah, pretty cool. And just for fun, random comparison here. Here she is next to a 7-inch scale figure, so you can see that, you know, these do not scale together. So there is Evil Lyn from the Masterverse line. And yeah. Alright. With that done and all the comparisons shown, let's get her into some sort of pose with the other head sculpt. So this figure is really easy for me to pop her head sculpt off. As you can see, it just comes off like this, as usual, like every Marvel Legend. However, this head sculpt is not friendly. So I'm probably going to put it in to like a certain extent, but I'm not going to like force it in because I'd rather just heat that up. I just want to show like an example of what this head sculpt looks like on the figure mold. And let me pop off one of these hands and try to get her into a pose of some kind. So bear with me. Okay, this should work. It is going to look kind of awkward because of the fact that the head is not all the way into the neck joint. Because, you know, again, I don't know what it is with this other head sculpt, why it doesn't want to go in all the way. But here we go. Here we go. Give me a second. Almost done. There we go. So, this is what this other hand gesture to me looks like. So if you want to use it for certain poses like this, you can. I could probably do it better. I just never done it on camera before, so yeah. And that's what this other head sculpt looks like. So pretty neat. Yeah. So depending on what you prefer, if you prefer this head sculpt where, you know, her head guard is more visible, you would go with that. If you prefer this one, it's not too bad either. And yeah. All right. And with that said, I hope you enjoyed today's review of Jean Grey. And if you like this video, do give it a like. If you want to subscribe to the channel to see more action figure reviews, do subscribe. You don't have to, of course. In the end of the day, I make these videos for fun. And with that said, take care, and I will see you in the next video.